All right, so we're diving back into the world of AI and education.
Oh, it's a fascinating world, isn't it?
Absolutely. And today we're going deep on how these AI systems, these algorithms, are really starting to reshape how decisions are made in education.
Really reshaping the whole landscape.
Big time. I mean, we're even talking about a potential shift in power.
Oh, yeah.
Away from those traditional institutions like school boards and governments,
Right, right.
more towards these tech companies developing these AI systems.
The big question, yeah, where that power lies.
Huge.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we're going to break down what that means
Okay.
for you, for students, for everyone involved.
Yeah.
We're really going to try to unpack all of that.
Sounds good.
And we've got a great jumping off point.
Okay.
This perspective piece by Dr. Yining Wang
Oh, yeah.
just came out this month in Discover Education.
Mm-hmm.
And she really digs into the implications of what she calls,
Let me guess, algorithmic decisions.
you got it,
Okay.
algorithmic decisions.
It's a kitschy phrase.
Basically, we're talking about decisions
Yeah.
that are being made by AI systems instead of humans.
Right, right.
And she brings up some really powerful real-world examples,
Oh, I bet.
like that whole international baccalaureate grading controversy
Oh, yeah, that was a mess.
during the pandemic when they used algorithms to grade those exams.
A lot of people weren't happy about that.
And then there was that lawsuit against the Houston School District.
Mm-hmm. The teacher evaluations, right?
Yeah, for using algorithms in teacher evaluations.
Right.
So she argues that these algorithmic decisions are actually becoming de facto policy decisions.
That's an interesting way to put it. To
Yeah.
really understand how that could even happen,
Yeah.
we have to think about the context of education in the U.S.
Okay.
It's always been this really kind of loosely coupled system,
Okay.
with power divided up between the feds, the states,
Right.
local school boards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's given us some flexibility to really address those local needs. I see.
Which is important.
But Dr. Wang's point is that these big tech companies,
Right.
they're the ones developing and putting these AI systems into schools.
Yeah.
And that's creating this shift towards what some people call private governance.
Yeah, that's the concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it raises all these questions about who's really accountable. Because these private companies,
Oh, yeah.
they're not necessarily subject to the same kind of oversight
Right.
as those public institutions.
Right.
Their goals might be totally different.
Yeah.
And how they decide what problems to focus on, that can be different too.
It makes you think about that whole case with OpenAI.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Started as this nonprofit,
Yeah.
but then went for profit.
Yeah. That was a big shift.
Really brought up those questions about balancing,
Oh, yeah.
the public good with financial incentives.
Yeah. Especially when you're talking about AI.
Huge question.
Yeah.
So how does this actually play out?
What do you mean? I mean, this idea of algorithmic decisions being de facto policy,
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like in a real school?
Okay, imagine a school district,
Okay.
and they decide to go with this this AI system for, doling out resources.
Okay.
Seems efficient on the surface.
Data-driven.
Data-driven, yeah.
That's good.
But what if that algorithm,
Right.
designed by some private company, it ends up prioritizing certain metrics?
Okay.
But those metrics,
Yeah.
they end up disadvantaging schools in lower-income neighborhoods.
Wow.
So now you've got decisions being made, resources being spread around
Right.
based on this algorithm.
Yeah.
But what if no one knows how it's really working?
Right. If there's no transparency.
Right.
So how do you challenge those decisions?
That's the problem.
It's like this private company, through its algorithm, is making decisions that have this huge impact on public education,
Right.
but the public has zero say in it.
That's the core of it.
It just feels like it challenges that whole traditional model of education where decisions were made through this more public process.
Right. And a more transparent process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what about the speed at which these algorithms change?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it seems like regulations just
It's tough.
can't keep up.
It really is. It's like,
Yeah.
trying to hit a moving target.
Right.
Like, think about pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
You can study and regulate a molecule.
Right.
But AI, that algorithm, it never stops learning.
It's constantly changing through machine learning.
Right. Exactly.
So even if you could come up with some regulations, by the time they were in place, the technology would already be different.
You got it.
And that brings us to another issue Dr. Wang talks about,
Okay.
that black box problem.
Oh, yeah. The big mystery box.
With so many of these algorithms, they're proprietary.
All right.
We don't even know how they reach their conclusions.
It's like you get a grade, but you don't get to see the rubric.
Right.
Or what you got wrong.
Or how the whole thing was even graded.
Exactly.
It's like this huge disconnect, right?
Yeah.
We're using AI for these huge decisions that affect people's lives.
Right.
But we don't even know how the AI is making those decisions.
It's a big problem.
There's this one, really fascinating aspect of AI
Well, there's always something fascinating with AI.
that we need to discuss.
Okay, what is it?
This concept of emergence.
Emergent. What does it even mean?
So basically, emergence is when an AI system, it starts doing things, developing abilities that go beyond, what it was originally programmed to do.
Okay, so it's like it's learning.
It's learning, it's adapting.
But it's learning things that even its creators didn't anticipate.
It's surprising everyone, even the experts.
That sounds a little unnerving.
It can be a little bit, yeah. We talked about AlphaGo before.
AlphaGo, yeah.
The AI that mastered the game of Go.
Right.
That was a pretty clear example of emergence, right? Because AlphaGo wasn't just following a set of rules.
It was coming up with its own strategy.
It was learning, adapting, coming up with strategies that nobody had ever seen.
Yeah, it was wild.
Even those expert Go players.
It was like it was thinking outside the box, but it didn't even have a box.
That's what's so crazy about it.
Yeah.
And I can see how that would be super exciting.
Oh, yeah, for research.
For AI researchers.
Yeah.
But also kind of scary.
A little bit.
If we can't fully predict
yeah.
what these AI systems are going to be able to do, how do we even begin to address that?
Well, Dr. Wang, she proposes this multi-level approach to governing these algorithmic decisions.
Right.
She says it can't just be top-down, just regulations.
Right.
It's got to be action at every level.
Okay, at all levels.
Federal guidelines, local communities,
Yeah.
even the choices we make as individuals.
Okay, so that sounds promising.
Yeah.
We're going to dive more into that multi-level approach.
That's good.
All right. So we're back and ready to really unpack this multi-level approach.
Yeah, lots to unpack there.
That Dr. Wang talks about for governing AI in education. It's not just about, coming up with new laws.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
It's about taking action at all levels.
At all levels, yeah.
So what are some of those key strategies she highlights?
Well, one of the most important things is transparency.
Okay, transparency.
Dr. Wang, she really argues that we need to pull back the curtain on these algorithms.
Okay, so no more magic box.
No more magic box, exactly.
Okay, we get to see the gears turning.
We got to see how it works.
Got it.
And she suggests, requiring these companies to provide, really clear documentation on how their algorithms work.
It's like an instruction manual for the algorithm?
Yeah, pretty much, something like that.
So we can see what decisions they're making.
You got it.
Okay.
And then, to make sure everything's running smoothly, she also talks about these regular audits of the AI systems to make sure they're being fair.
Right. Make sure they're accurate. Yeah. Especially, when these algorithms are being used for things like, student placement or evaluating teachers.
Oh, yeah. High-stakes stuff.
It seems like that kind of oversight is super critical.
Oh, absolutely. You need those checks and balances.
And she also talks about creating a system where students, parents, even educators can actually appeal decisions that are made by an algorithm.
It makes sense.
Right. So if someone feels like an AI system treated them unfairly, they've got a way to challenge it.
Yeah, like due process for the AI age, right?
But wouldn't that create a logistical nightmare?
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
What if every student just started contesting their AI-generated grades?
Oh, that would be chaos.
Total chaos.
Dr. Wang, she suggests having a clear process.
Okay.
Maybe involving, some human review.
Okay, so humans are still in the loop.
Humans got to be there.
But really focused on those cases where there's a really good reason.
Yeah, you got to have a solid reason.
To think that the algorithm messed up.
Yeah, or missed something important.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Balance is key.
Using AI to hopefully improve things.
Right, use it as a tool.
But making sure humans are still there.
Absolutely. Can't take humans out of the equation.
To step in.
Yeah, when needed.
Okay, so transparency and accountability are huge.
Huge, yeah.
What else is part of this multi-level approach?
Well, stakeholder involvement.
Okay, stakeholder involvement.
Dr. Wang, she's really big on that.
Okay.
She thinks we need to get more voices.
More voices, yeah.
Involved in these decisions.
Right, because right now it does feel like
It does, doesn't it?
A lot of these decisions are being made by,
Hmm?
tech companies, maybe a handful of administrators.
Yeah, a select few.
That's it.
That's a recipe for unintended consequences.
Exactly.
Right, so Dr. Wang, she suggests creating these advisory boards.
Great advisory boards.
Made up of educators, parents, students, AI experts. To really guide how this stuff gets implemented.
So it's like creating a mini democracy.
Ooh, I like that.
Just focused on AI and education.
Yeah, AI democracy.
But these boards, they can't just talk.
Right.
Right. They need real influence.
Absolutely. They got to have some teeth.
Their recommendations have to be taken seriously by the schools.
By the policymakers.
So it's not just about talking.
No, it's about action.
It's about giving those voices real power to shape how AI is used. And it's not just about these formal boards.
Right.
Dr. Wang also talks about like public forums.
Yeah, town halls, meetings.
Getting feedback. Before rolling out any new AI system.
That's a good idea.
So you can catch those problems early.
And
make adjustments based on what the community is saying.
Absolutely. Got to listen to the community.
It's like a proactive approach.
Proactive,
Instead of waiting for things to go sideways.
Right, get ahead of it.
You're getting that input from the people who are going to be directly impacted.
That's the key.
By these technologies.
That's how you build trust.
And we can't forget about the educators.
The teachers.
The teachers. Dr. Wang really emphasizes that we need to be training them, training administrators on how to actually use these AI tools effectively.
You can't just throw tech at people and expect them to know what to do.
Right. It's like giving someone a chainsaw and being like,
look,
here you go, have fun.
Exactly. You need training.
And that training has to go beyond just the technical stuff.
It does.
Right. It needs to cover the ethical considerations, potential biases, and how to maintain that human oversight.
Humans got to be in charge.
So transparency, stakeholder involvement, training, all critical parts of this approach.
All critical,
But we also need to think bigger picture here.
Okay, bigger picture.
The speed at which AI is developing.
Oh, yeah, it's moving fast.
How can regulations keep up with that?
That's the million-dollar question.
It feels impossible, almost.
Yeah, it feels like it sometimes.
Like the old way of doing things, passing a law, and then waiting decades for it to be updated.
Yeah, that's not going to work with AI.
That just won't cut it.
No way.
Dr. Wang, she argues that we need to move beyond that traditional model of those static regulations and go for something more agile. More adaptive.
Adaptive, right.
So it's this constant process of collaboration, monitoring, adjustment.
Adjustment, you got it.
And she talks about establishing these like cross-sector collaborations, bringing together education departments, tech companies, legal experts.
The lawyers,
to address these emerging challenges.
Bring everyone to the table.
So instead of viewing these groups as, adversaries.
Right, fighting each other.
It's about bringing everyone together.
Yeah, collaboration is key.
To find solutions that actually work for everyone.
Solutions that work,
And what about those ethical guidelines?
Yeah, those are important.
We talked about earlier, like that blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights.
Right, the blueprint.
How does that fit into this whole regulatory framework?
Well, Dr. Wang, she believes those guidelines should be like a central part of this approach. They should be like the guardrails, making sure we're using AI in a way that aligns with, our values.
Fairness, accountability.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
So it's like having this shared understanding.
A shared understanding,
of how we want to be using these technologies.
Exactly.
But it can't just be like a document that sits on a shelf.
No, it has to evolve.
Right. As AI changes.
As AI changes,
These guidelines need to be reviewed.
They do.
Updated regularly.
Absolutely. Got to stay current.
So it's this constant process of learning. Adapting. Making sure we're staying ahead of the curve.
Got to stay ahead of the curve. You got it.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about.
It's been a lot, hasn't it?
It really has.
From those algorithms being de facto policy to this whole emergence thing.
Emergence,
It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
But hey, as you continue to explore this, remember we have a choice. We can choose to be informed, engaged, proactive in shaping how AI becomes part of our schools and our lives.
That's a great point.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI and education governance.
We hope you found it insightful.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit empowering.
Absolutely empowering.